I was celebrating, as was our guest today, since Sundays. I just cannot see any other outcome on Saturday other than Manchester City win.
I'm not being disrespectful here, but Casemiro cannot play in centre half. No.
I think they've got every chance. I think the job Steve Clarke's done up there is
magnificent.
Is unbelievable.
Yeah. I wanted to play for Scotland, but I never got the call up.
It looks as if he's knackered, but not physically, but mentally at the minute. And could that affect him more going into the game on Saturday?
Would you ever want to get back into management?
Probably not, because I wasn't very good at it. That's why I get sacked. The last job I was in.
The Premier League season is over, but we are still here. Welcome to another episode of No Tippy Tappy Football, brought to you by William Hill. How are you, Sam?
Rather weary after last night's League Managers Association Awards dinner. Another fantastic evening, celebrating all this season's victories for the managers and coaches, particularly through all the divisions, all the professional divisions in the league, and great to see that Kieran McKenna won at Ipswich. He won the Manager of the Year. So for everybody out there that don't know what the Manager of the Year is voted by all the managers on somebody that's used their facilities and the money that's best available to them, used it the best possible way. So it's not always about the big man at the top with all the money. It's about what has the manager done with his resources. And obviously Kieran back-to-back promotions with Ipswich and got them into the Premier League for, I don't know, it's been 18 years or something since he got the, speaking to him last night on a hugely restricted budget, not like a lot of the others. So it's a fantastic achievement. And of course, all through the divisions, Chandler down at Stockport, another winner, young manager, and I can't remember his name, I'm sorry, at Portsmouth. But yeah, so it was a really, really good night as always, and I've been a committee member for many years. It's great to see young coaches coming through. So Kieran's particularly interested in when he spoke because he packed in at football at 22 to become a coach. So they call him a young manager, but he's been in it 25 years. Coaching. Wow. So he got 10 years on everybody else, because we all think about coaching when if we get into our 30s, don't we? Like you mean, he did it in his early 20s. So full marks to him. Had his experience at Man United, got moved on. So yeah, looks a very bright young manager.
So you were celebrating last night, and I was celebrating, as was our guest today, since Sunday. So would you like to introduce our guest?
I was there on Sunday. I was there on Sunday watching Pep jumping up and down, and especially when he thought the second goal went in. But obviously it was a clear handball, so there was no mix up there. But I mean, he would never feel that it was comfortable. From where I was sat, it was always looking comfortable for me, and I think that they totally dominated the game, and nerves didn't really play a part in the way they played the football again.
And at the end of that game, you saw our guest at the end of the pitch presenting the trophy. Would you like to introduce our guest?
Yes, it's a pleasure for him to be here. He's obviously looking forward to this summer's European competition, I think, because he's a true Scotsman. So and a big Man City fan, and played for Man City and scored many goals. So it's a welcome to Paul Dickov. I'm out Man City'd on the left here today.
Yeah, outnumbered at all. No, thanks for having us. I've been watching the show.
Well, thanks very much for coming along, and yeah, it's great to see you.
Yeah, I've been watching
looking
the show.
So well, by the way.
That's surprisingly after the celebrations from Sunday, Sam, I think. But no, I'm glad to be here. Been watching it, some great guests on, so it's an honour.
Thank you, because you have squeezed us in one of your busiest weeks of the year, I imagine, because I know it's busy for me, but you have been front and centre of the events of this week. So for anybody that doesn't know, Sam, for anybody that maybe you were so infuriated that Arsenal hadn't won that you switched your TV off, this man presented the trophy. He held the Premier League trophy, walked out of the tunnel, walked up, and you presented Kyle Walker with the trophy. Can you tell anybody that doesn't know, how did that come about? How did it happen?
How did that come about? I've never seen anybody do that before at a football club and an ex-player.
Yeah, it was amazing, Sam. I got a little heads up off one of the media staff. I won't name his name because he wasn't supposed to tell me. He'll get in trouble at the club. about 10 days ago, or 10 days before it happened. And they just sort of said, "Are you coming to the game? Are your family coming? And this is what we're thinking of doing." It's the month of 25 years from the 1999 playoff game in Gillingham. We just think it'll be quite fitting for you to do it. And then I didn't hear anything until the Thursday before the game on the Sunday, and I got an email from the club asking me to say it would be their honour to ask me to take the trophy out. And I was quite emotional, actually. I don't get emotional about quite a lot of things. And, Man City as a club do take a lot of stick from the outside, but, the owners, the people within it...
they're all jealous, Paul, don't
yeah,
they?
No, they
That's
are.
what they are.
Yeah.
They're jealous, man, don't they? Yeah.
And they don't forget, so, to ask me 25 years on to take the trophy out was amazing. And then the City community, who are wonderful in everything that they do, had one of their participants in the Reminisce City programme for dementia.
Brilliant.
Michael Crowther, and I was to take the trophy out, and me and Michael were to put the medals on it as well. And that was probably the most emotional part, because we'd done some filming before it, and Michael didn't know what he was doing, and I thought he did, but then when I told him on camera, he'd be burst into tears, which then started everybody else off in the room. But Michael was an amazing guy, and dementia is obviously a terrible thing, but the community programme is working football around people with dementia, and he couldn't remember what he was doing a week, 2 weeks ago, or even the day before, but you asked him who City played in the cup final in the 1970s or the 80s, or even he was at Wembley in 1999, he could name the whole team, he could do everything. So that was just a wonderful day to do it. But you know what I'm like, Natalie, I'm super confident when City are playing. Are. I was really nervous on Sunday because I knew what was potentially happening afterwards as well, so it was just as well I didn't see you.
He is. Football is an incredibly powerful thing. But yes, Sam, he's always, I get the pleasure of working with Paul regularly, the most optimistic, the most positive City fan that I know. So whenever I'm nervous, I say, "Come on, Paul."
And Scotland fan this summer.
And both of us, we're gonna get onto that. I'm really excited to find out what Paul thinks about Scotland. So in terms of you and Sam, where have you crossed? What's your kind of earliest memories of Sam?
I think it was either when you were at Notts County.
Oh, God, yeah. That far back.
Notts County, or Blackpool even, when I was a young kid coming through. And
Blackpool were first, and then Notts County after that.
Yeah, and I think we actually beat East, don't want to say this, I think beat East 7 at Main Road in a cup game, I think.
Yeah.
In one of the games.
Yeah, that might be right in one of them, yeah.
I only remember that because I scored.
I
didn't score many against Sam's team.
Remember it.
Yeah.
I love it because whenever we have guests on, they have very varying memories of their time with Sam, playing against him, managing teams against him. Do you remember Paul as a player? Do you remember?
I remember Paul as a player.
Like?
Yeah, I remember as a player. Yeah, definitely about the fact that he was probably a good combination to what we did mainly then, and have two up top.
Yeah,
and he'd be your bigger centre forward, and Paul playing off him and in and around him, and that combination, had to work at most football clubs then. And it was very, very rare until probably the late 90s or early 2000s that it became a single striker with a 4-3-3 situation. So we rarely see a 4-4-2 anymore now. But that was probably the main reason for you. And the link between, the understanding between the two was imperative to them to assist and score the right amount of goals that the club needed to get some success,
It was, and it was always 4-4-2 against 4-4-2, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
There was no different systems or anything else.
Yeah.
And Sam's right, it was any team I scored goals and I was successful, and it was always the big man, little man combination, Sean Gota at City, and then when I went to Leicester, I had big Brian Dean for a spell, and they were amazing for me because the ball would go up there, and especially Brian Dean, Les Ferdinand, they were going to win it in the air, so all you had to do was gamble and get on the end of it, and without the ball, it just used to be a little pain in the backside, which I used to quite like.
Yeah, you mentioned Sean Gota, of course. For me, that was the when I got my first season ticket at City in '98, Sam, and it was Dickov and Gota. And the 98-99 season, of course, is a really big, famous season in City's history because it was the lowest point we've ever had. It was Division 2, and of course we got to the we got to the playoff final that year, Sam. And had it not been for this man, Manchester City quite frankly would not exist in any way, shape or form as it does now. Because if we hadn't have gone up that year, I honestly don't know if the club would have survived.
We knew before the game how important it was for the club, but on the pitch we didn't realise what was happening off the pitch, and it wasn't until the week after that David Bernstein, the chairman, sat us all down and basically said that, because they were in talks to move into the Etihad then after the Commonwealth Games, that the council were going to pull for them to not move into the stadium, and there was a real possibility of administration, if not liquidation, because the finances were that bad.
Did they not sell it to John Wardle then?
That was just after, yeah.
And Dave Makin.
Yep. They came in. That was after, I think.
JD.
Yeah, that was JD. But the club was in such a mess, not on the pitch. I mean, I remember Joe Royal, and I love Joe. He was amazing.
Yeah.
When he came into the club, Sam, he had 56 pros. There were 3 different changing rooms because there'd been that many turnovers of managers, and they're all allowed to bring in their own players, but not necessarily sell anyone. And the way Joe handled that, and got his promotion, then got his back-to-back promotion, get the players out that he wanted to get out, players off the wage bill that he wanted to keep, players that he wanted to keep.
And that'd be Joe's responsibility then as well, wouldn't
Absolutely.
it? He takes responsibility for that. I mean, we've been talking about that this week to the older managers, like I mean, that the young managers don't have that opportunity to manage.
So tell us about your celebrations since Sunday, Paul, because it is fair to say that you like... You're a Scotsman, you like a party. I think you're pretty hardcore, really. I've seen you out. We went to Real Madrid a couple of years ago together, and we stayed out pretty late. You stayed out later than me. And then at 8 o'clock the next morning, he was up running around the block, Sam, whereas I was in bed, like,
He's
feeling
doing what
very
we used to do
sorry
then.
for myself.
Yeah, we used to play on the Saturday. We'd have Sunday off, so we'd have a drink Saturday night. Lunchtime, I don't know whether you did
Sunday session, yeah.
And then we put a bin liner on Monday.
Go out and sweat it all out,
Off, like, yeah.
Actual bin liner.
Yeah.
Put a bin liner on
Advanced technology.
underneath your shirt and all that.
Yeah.
Like, rip the
Put your arms through it.
There like that. Sweat it.
Sweat it all out. You ready to go again?
Ready to go again?
Yeah.
Well, have you been sweating it out this week?
I have. I wasn't too bad on Sunday night. I was home by 11:30, which was quite strange for me.
Yeah.
And then Monday I was into the club, but had a few drinks Monday as well. Early doors, 4 o'clock to about 8 o'clock, and then yesterday, I don't know how I done it. I played in 2 games at the pitch in the Etihad.
You need to be careful
for partners. I did ask them.
Any younger, Paul. You're not getting any younger.
I did ask them to get a defib remedy before I went second, just in case. And then your wonderful company today. So no, it's been a fantastic few days, and obviously looking forward to the weekend as well.
You're doing well, Sam. I went out Sunday night celebrating with a lot of my colleagues. Got in at 4 a.m. And
Where did you go till 4 a.m. then?
Oh, there's many places open in Manchester till 4 a.m, Sam.
Oh, right, okay.
This is what I learned this weekend. But I was yesterday, all day Monday, all day Tuesday, Sam. Honestly, I looked like I'd been dug up. It was horrendous, but it was worth it.
More than worth it.
And we'll do it again this weekend.
We will, starting Friday.
We are travelling to Wembley on Friday because, of course, it is the FA Cup final on Saturday. City take on United, the second Manchester derby FA Cup final in a row. Sam, what chances are you giving Manchester United?
I mean, I think it's a cup final, and I think they're bound to lift their performance, and I think it depends who's fit. On how big the challenge is going to be for Man United. It depends who he can get fit and play him. I don't think there's any, or he shouldn't have any concern about a player that becomes fit, whether he's had that much training or not. It's the FA Cup final, and the adrenaline will get you through it one way or another, because if the manager selects you, you'll be so delighted that you just want to play in that cup final. So, and if that player's fit who would normally play, it's worth the risk. It'll be worth the risk. The player would want to take the risk. He should take the risk to strengthen the Man United team as much as possible, because we all know that their biggest problem is at the back. In fact, their biggest problem is defending as a whole. Yeah. The team doesn't defend as an 11 together, unlike the top teams now. I mean, Arsenal, purely and simply, as a defensive team, have got better, and then as an attacking team, have scored more goals. That's why they finished second. Remarkably, most of the time, that's enough to win the league. But Man City have pipped them again. Pipped them by Pep.
Sam, just on that with the players, do you think they've changed? Because I looked at it the other way. I'm looking at Varane, I'm looking at Fernandes, I'm looking at even Martinez. All these players that have been injured are coming back in. And normally you'd think FA, but will they have one eye in the Euros? Maybe thinking, well, I'm not too sure about this.
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
That's a very, very big possibility. But
you would like to think they wouldn't.
You know, I'm sure everybody. Wembley has that much history, even to all foreign players.
Absolutely.
You know, so if they're going there and playing there, you know, it depends on the character or the personality of the player himself, doesn't it? Like, I mean, I think that, you know, Ten Hag has to suss that one out. You know, it would be a terrible thing if you're looking at a player and you consider that he's been holding back for going away in 2 days' time
when they've got an FA
to
Cup
join
final
the international lot, when you've got an FA Cup final.
Isn't the question? There's been a lot of questions around the character of the Manchester United squad this year. So I think you can question that. I mean, what are you, Mr. Overly optimistically positive? If you're trying to be neutral for a minute, what chances are you giving Manchester United?
I think, as Sam rightly said, it's an FA Cup final, and it's a derby to it as well.
It's Manchester derby in London.
You know, so anything can happen. But I look at City, especially. I mean, people were saying earlier on the season they had a hangover and they weren't quite as good as they have been. They lost three league games in the Premier League all season. And then the focus and mentality of the group is ridiculous. And the fact that it's a Manchester derby, I don't think anybody's ever won a double-double.
Oh, nice.
So,
no, it's right. That's very true. He's going to be the first. So he's not only the first with 4, but the first in a double.
Exactly. And, you know, for them, they want to create history. That's
the
the whole
only double
mentality.
I ever got was at the bar.
I've done it. I've done the triple double. That's what it was.
There'll be more doubles happening Sunday night then when we go. I'm love my club, but I'm not always as optimistic as you. I just cannot see any other outcome on Saturday other than Manchester City win. And honestly, I just feel, Paul, like it could be an embarrassing defeat for Manchester United. I feel like it could be 3-4-0 for City.
You're sounding like me. I'm rubbing off on you too much now, Natalie. I'm usually like that.
I know.
Yeah. I just think, look, loads of things can happen. We've seen FA Cup shots.
It depends how quick Man City score.
13 seconds again, anyone?
No, if they don't get that right, if you don't plan it right to get to half time and get to half time without conceding a goal, there has to be some fatigue physically and mentally in Man City's side going into the latter stages of the game compared to Man United, in my opinion. You know, I think that they've had so much to go through this year again, so many games. So I know they've got the squad for it, and I know they're up for it. But fatigue at some stage will kick into the players, Man City. So if that's a tight game, then it might be Man United's opportunity.
And the occasion at Wembley takes it out of you as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, does
From a physical and a mental point of view, But I wanted to ask Sam, how would you set up against a City team? Because I spoke to Billy McKinlay after the game.
I've tried it too many times.
I think he was the West Ham assistant manager. And I spoke to Badger after the game and I said, well, what do you do? And they said, you just can't beat their system. He said, the way we set up and the way we played, he said, I don't think we could have done any better than what we did. He said, we should have been 5-0 down at half time. So it must be so difficult sitting there getting the team sheet in and thinking.
Well, there's one thing for certain I'd never do is play out from the back.
Yeah.
I would just not ever even attempt and tell every player, if you try to play out from the back or the goalie, I'll fine you.
Yeah.
Because the only real result I saw was last season when Brentford beat him at Man City, where they just played Ivan Toney and nobody else.
Last time we were beat at home,
Ivan Toney, and Man City struggled to cope with that. And what happened on that day is that the chances that, and there's very few chances to get Manchester City, they stuck them away.
Yeah.
You know, so it's but the rest of the defending is discipline. It's discipline and unity about making and covering each other up all the time. You're not just responsible for your own defending, you're responsible for the other lad and cover him up if he slips up. So we talk about mistakes right? But if one person makes a mistake, the next person cannot make a mistake again, because that leads to Man City opening you up, and ultimately they'll be getting a shot at goal or scoring. So the discipline behind, he's made a mistake, and the rationality of some people is to go and make another mistake because they lose the control of what you need. You make few as mistakes as you possibly can, then you can hold Man United until they produce a bit of brilliance. So if they produce a bit of brilliance and it goes in the back of the net, you can't stop that.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you lose that way, you lose that way, and you go, wow. But if you lose the discipline of your team, because they lose the concentration, and the concentration has to be more in that game defensively than any other probably game you're playing, because the amount of time City have the ball, because they will just play around with it. I mean, sometimes they slow the game down, and I'm going, wow, and it's just well, we'll wait till the right opportunity, so we'll just keep moving it around and moving it around and moving it around, and then all of a sudden it's a lift, bang, 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 and it's in, So yeah, it's a very difficult task, and it's one that as a manager with a team that's not as good as the opposition, you don't really look forward to, because what you don't want is you don't want 3, 4, or 5.
That's what we like to hear.
You know what I mean? That's the last thing you want.
But that's why I think City, like you, will probably win comfortable. We were saying before about Man United, not just their defence, but as a team, they don't defend very well and they leave a lot of gaps. And I think that will suit City down to the ground, especially the big pitch at Wembley.
Yeah.
Surely,
if they have to play, I'm not being disrespectful here, but Casemiro cannot play in centre half.
No.
I feel like Varane's back.
Is he? But how fit's he then?
Yeah.
I mean, he struggled. He struggled.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he passed the medical at Man United.
Yeah.
Well, it's the reason why Real Madrid don't get rid of bad players.
That's right. No.
If there's not a reason behind it.
Same with Casemiro, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a wonderful player on the ball, wonderful going forward, wonderful passer. Dives into every tackle. Fouls, got sent off, bookings. Causes a problem defensively for Man United. On the ball, if you can get him on the ball, he'll be your best player. But off the ball now, it's just, I sometimes think the game's too quick for him.
Yeah.
Surely the decision about Ten Hag's future has already been made. Do you think that what happens? I mean, it feels like if what happens on Saturday would be.
Yeah, but that's only because Sir Jim Radcliffe's come in and Dave Brailsford. If before that, and it's just the Glazier still, I think he'd be all right next season, because he got to another cup final. And he got to cup final last year. So,
but they finished 8th, Sam.
I know, but I mean, we all know. Well, the big responsibility is how many of those players how many of the new players signed by Manchester United are his responsibility? Is he responsible for? Because if he's responsible for them, he hasn't done very well again. And that's Man United's big problem for the last 10 years now.
Yeah, bad recruitment. Do you think he's going to stay, or do you think he's gone regardless?
I don't want to see any manager lose their job, and especially after second season. But I think obviously Sir Jim coming in and new owners and everything else, the results, performances not being great, I think the writing's on the wall a little bit. But then it goes back to the old question: if you do get rid of him, who do you bring in? And how long are you going to give the person that comes in as well? There's an argument to say he's been here 2 years, he's got 2 cup finals, 3 cup finals, won 1 cup. Do you stick with him for a little bit longer instead of just keep sacking managers all the time?
Yeah. So
I know I'd bring in
who?
Ancelotti.
Yeah.
If he's leaving Real Madrid.
Is he leaving Real Madrid?
Well, I'm not
There's
sure.
been rumours about it, isn't there?
There's rumours about it.
Would you go from Real Madrid to Manchester United?
Well, he would.
Yeah.
Do you think
he went to Everton.
Oh, this is true.
Yeah.
Do you think he could make himself a hero again? Whoever goes to United and turns them round will be.
Well, I mean, he's the most successful man. He's far more successful than Pep. You
by
didn't know that, did you?
By what Champions League winners standards?
How he's played, what he's done, how much he's won as a player, as a manager. Done it all. He has. Doubles at Chelsea, wasn't it? And Real Madrid now.
Real Madrid.
As a player and a manager.
What's your predictions then for the cup final? What are we thinking?
3-1 Man City.
Yeah, just took the words out of my mouth.
3-1
3 or
City.
4-1.
3 or 4-1. I'd like a clean sheet.
Yeah.
I'd like Stefan Ortega to get a clean
Anyway,
sheet.
let's move on from the Man City podcast.
It's turning into that
Not
a
all
little bit,
about
isn't
Man
it?
City.
Well, they've just won the league, so we're allowed. I've got another question for
Oh,
you.
you are allowed. You're absolutely right.
Before we move on, Sam, I do have another one for you. Pep has hinted that next season will be his last. Hinted? Who knows, eh? Who knows? Where does he rank? Where will he rank in all-time managers? Up to him and Sir Alex.
Well, he's good. You got to go beyond him and Sir Alex. You got to go to Busby, Shankly, Fagan, Paisley. You put all them together, so they are what we've seen in the last few decades. The top guys in not just the success, but the sustainability of the success. So Liverpool in that particular period sustained that success. Like, was it 3 European Cup finals in a row, 3 wins in a row? I think it was. Yeah. So I think that the moving on at that particular time, and the man within taking over was really successful, even with Kenny.
Yeah.
But then after that, it sort of faded away because the sort of turnover of players and recruitment dried up for some reason or other, because they had the same policies as that Sir Alex gave. Whereas once the first team was established and successful, the youngsters were brought through on the basis of when that next player retires or moves on, there is a replacement there already. And when you have to go out and buy and spend, you wouldn't have to go out and buy and spend on that much, or you wouldn't need that many players. Man City need 1 or 2 players max a season now. The rest of them are the young ones coming through the academy, and then the others, they are selling to make sure that the offset of the ins and outs and balance of finance is very, very good, as we talked about before.
Definitely.
Not this season, but the season before, they made a profit in transfers for the very first time. So, that setup has got Man City, and they got Pep, and they waited patiently for him, and all the backroom staff that went with him from Barcelona, apparently. So it wasn't, and I'm not talking about coaches. I'm talking about directors of football and analysts and people like that.
So we'll move on now to international football, Sam. And we should say next week we've got an episode that will be fully dedicated to England, to the England squad, to England's chances in the Euros. Obviously, we'll touch on the FA Cup final victory for City as well, but but we will have England focus. This week, we're going to do some Scotland focus. Now, I'm going to get my phone out. Forgive me if you're watching on YouTube. I'd never get my phone out. But literally, as we were coming on air, the Scotland squad got announced. So I'm pulling up the Scotland squad for Paul and I just to put our eyes over, because it literally has just been announced. We got to see it quickly before we came on. What was the kind of standout for you? For me, it was, I'm still worried about goals, but when you look at that squad, was there a standout person or a standout? What are you thinking?
Yeah, look, obviously when you've got Andy Robertson, you've got Tierney, you've got at the back, was pretty solid, and then midfield, Callum McGregor, Scott McTominay, who's been fantastic for Scotland, playing a bit of a forward role. John McGinn, Super John McGinn, who they all love as well. So they've got a lot of players in there that have played at a top level, but scoring goals has been a problem for them. I just wonder if Steve, right at the start of the campaign, more often than not, is playing 3-5-2 to try and give them 2 strikers up top. And Lawrence Shankland's had a great season, I think 40 odd goals at Hearts.
Then is he player of the Scottish player of the year?
Yeah, which shows you what a season he's had, because for God knows how long.
How many has he got?
40 odd goals in all competitions.
Yeah.
And then,
is there not a sniff from down in the Premier League for somebody like that?
I think there's a sniff from Celtic and Rangers.
Yeah, Celtic and
maybe.
Rangers are both desperate, but I think there's a few clubs down here that are looking to get him as well. He's had a wonderful season. Then you've got Lyndon Dykes, who's never let Steve down, but it's a lack of goals. But then,
win 1-0 then.
Yep, just took the,
Yes,
no,
Sam,
seriously,
yeah.
just took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Sam,
Concentrate on set plays more than you've
Yeah.
ever concentrated on, because that's going to be one of your main targets. Don't waste a set play, particularly in the opposition's final third. Make sure you practice and practice and practice. Make sure your delivery's right and the people are doing the right things, and you'll score goals, and that'll help. But if you're good defensively to start with, if that's what it's quite difficult to probably explain to the players. But you need to sort of try and get this point over before you go into the tournament. About, we'll only go as far as our clean sheet record, because we are not going to be prolific goal scorers. That's a fact. And if the players accept that and do
they
the
need to
job,
buy into that,
and they buy into that, then you could, and then it'll be down crucial moments when Scotland get a chance to score. Will it be missed because of the lack of goal scoring talent, or will they score to help them get through? And that'll be. I'd love to see him get through. Obviously, my name is a big and Scottish
name,
the Allardyce clan. So
I think they've got every chance. And I think, regardless, the job Steve Clarke's done up there is
magnificent,
is unbelievable, because it was on its backside from grassroots all the way up, and Steve's went in, and I was going to say from top to bottom, from bottom all the way through. He's rejuvenated Scottish football. And the group we were in was a really tough group, so to get out of that, I'm not saying you should be just happy to be there, because once you're there, you only do well. It's going to be a tricky one. Germany, obviously the hosts in the first game, but how many times do you see shocks in the first game, whether it be the holders that are playing first?
What does the group look like for them to get through? What's the big challenge?
We've got Germany, Switzerland and Hungary.
And then the Switzerland-Hungary games, you look at the experienced players we've got in there's every chance we could get a result in them.
What are you thinking when you hear that?
Well, Germany are still not. They're not the force they used to be, are they? But obviously they're the strongest force in the group, probably. But Switzerland and Hungary. I mean, Switzerland particularly normally base their whole philosophy on defending properly, because they normally don't end up with the greatest players or the best goal scorer here and there, unless one comes up through their limited resources in the country, like I mean. But yeah, it could be a case. It's getting who did they play first?
Germany in the first game. But there'll be a lot of pressure on Germany in front of their own fans, and as Sam was saying there, they've not been great. So one thing I do know is the Tartan Army will go there and enjoy themselves. They will have
hundreds of thousands.
I think it would be if they lose that game, it's like that's out the way. Like, look at these, we're either going to live, we're either going to live or die. We're no hangovers from this. It's happened. We'll move on. If they get a draw, or if let's say they get a win, then there'll be so much in terms favourite to get through the group to the next stage.
Anything from that first game, yeah.
And to see them do a Wales, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Chris Coleman had them, and they got semi-final, didn't they? I think.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. There's one name that jumps out at me, and I want to get both your opinions on it. So Ben Doak gets his first call up for Scotland. He's an 18-year-old that plays at Liverpool. He's not had a start in the Premier League, and he's just come back from a serious knee injury that he's had as well. Now, I've got to put my hands up and say I don't know a huge amount about him, other than I know that Liverpool fans think he is a possible world-class talent in the making. At 18, to have never had a cap before and to not have played in the Premier League, what's the thinking of that, Sam? Is he looking to the future? Is it like a Theo Walcott, all those when he was 16 and got called up?
Yeah, well, we would obviously look at the squad. He's got 26.
Yeah.
And that's why he's there. Because it's 33 and then dwindled down to 26. So 26 is a lot of players to find. You know what I mean? It's a lot of players to find, and I think that this England's well blessed with 26. It's got the best 26 in the world. It's just how Gareth uses them in the competition on whether they're going to get to the final, win it. They should at least get to the final, in my opinion. But it depends on their mentality, because it's always been recently. It's always been a mentality slip up, not a skill slip up. It's been a mentality slip up on not being able to take it over the line. So for Scotland, it's difficult to get 26 quality players for an international tournament. I'm sure you'd agree with me.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things on that. One, look, he's very, very highly rated in Scotland. You know, Liverpool paid quite a bit of money for him to bring him down, and they're expecting big things from him. But I think that sort of highlights the lack, not in quality, the lack of strikers that we have got. The lack of goals that we've had. That Steve is relying on an 18-year-old boy to come into the squad for a major tournament. He's not had a cap before. He's not had a Premier League stat. But he's the one thing he will do. He's got an infectious enthusiasm about him when he plays. You know, he plays with no fear. And sometimes,
I mean, he'd be a sub coming on, wouldn't he? I'd have thought.
It'd be amazing for him.
Can you imagine? I'd love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and who knows what would happen when the adrenaline's flowing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But he's a talented boy and he's got an eye for goal. So
nothing to lose, has he?
Yeah.
Sometimes youngsters don't know how big it is.
Yeah.
They just go out and want to play football and
Absolutely.
I'm off. And then, later on in life, they go, shit, that was a big moment, wasn't it?
And he wouldn't even remember Scotland not qualifying.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, great. So that is the Scotland squad. It is out. I am very, very excited, Paul. I am very, very excited because I just feel like we've got, I just feel like we've got a chance to get out of the group. I can't believe it. So there will be hundreds of thousands of the Tartan Army out in fan zones across Germany. Are you going to get out there at all?
I'm hoping to get out for the Germany game. I've got a couple of fan events in Glasgow for the Switzerland and the Hungary game, so
Right.
I'll be back home for that. But I would love to get out. Not even if it's just not to watch Scotland play. I'd love to get out and take in a couple of games because they're fantastic occasions.
I would really love to get out there. If anybody can hook me up with some, Paul,
Yep.
Sam, anybody can hook me up with any tickets to a Scotland game would make my dad very, very happy. You have Scotland links as well, Sam.
I do, yes.
You'll be keeping an
very
eye on
much so.
Scotland. Is that, would you fancy a Scotland job in the future? Would you take it? Could we do that? Could we have an England manager that then becomes a Scotland manager? I don't know how,
that would be all right with Scottish parents. Surely they'd forgive me. But I mean, I've been the English manager, though, haven't I? So I'm not sure that would be the case then. Like, I mean, so that's not like, it's not going to happen now. Like, you mean, I wanted to play for Scotland, but I never got the call up.
Did you make it known?
Yeah. But when I was with Bolton in the first division, then back in then, but obviously it was Hanson and people like that, like Jim Bolton and all that.
Willie Miller,
Alex McLeish. Yeah, it was. They'd love those players now to be playing for Scotland.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I'd love this man to be playing for Scotland right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
God, you'd pick some goals up in this team.
Some yellow cards more than likely. I think the way the game is now.
I mean,
I
I find it difficult to see how Scotland struggles in those days when they qualified because you had a full blown
talent.
Doug
Oh,
Doug Leach,
God,
what
the
a former
talent.
hero. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Strachan.
They were everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
And then we went
And
through a bit of a dry patch.
There were top players in this league down in England.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they were like, fantastic.
Yes.
And up in Scotland, they were like, so I mean, what Willie Miller and Alex McLeish did for Aberdeen with Alex, I mean, just unbelievable.
Top.
Oh, well, hopefully we will be celebrating
We've got a chance.
this summer. We've got a chance for definite. So next week we are going to, like I say, focus on England. But just a quick one, because, of course, the first England squad came out yesterday. The big kind of thing that people were talking about yesterday, Sam, no Rashford. Do you agree with that?
Unfortunately, yes, I think I do. I think that unlike last season where he had his best season ever, why is it dried up? And why does his body language look? I don't know what. I'll be kind to him. He looks fatigued. So I think there's probably something going on from the mental point of view with him, not the physical. Because there's been nothing wrong with him physically, but mentally, you will be drained if you've got a problem. If for whatever reason he's not enjoying his football again. And I don't know why he's not enjoying his football, but only he can answer that. But his body language looks like, what's wrong? I don't see him chasing fullbacks back. You know what I mean? Like, all top teams now are it's all about recovery and high press and Even I see Jack Grealish chasing fullbacks back when he plays
Oh,
for
he
Man
does,
City and
yeah.
tackling them. I didn't see him do that when he was at Aston Villa because nobody asked him to do it because he was Jack Grealish. He was the number one player at Aston Villa.
Yeah.
And he was the number one player, and he was the most important thing to Aston Villa. Look what happens to Aston Villa when they lost him. Look, the team suffered because he wasn't there, like you mean. But I see him chasing back at Manchester City and doing the best to stay in the team. And even he, after last year's treble, has been hoisted to very few games compared to this last season. This season, it's like I know he had an injury. But he's got big competition now, hasn't he?
I've just worried though, Sam. I've just had a flash about what we were saying before. He's not in the England squad. He's not worried about that going. He's probably furious that he's not going to the Euros. Does he go out onto Wembley on Saturday and have an absolute worldie?
He just took the words out of my mouth. It'll be interesting to see what his reaction is. Is he going to go out there Saturday and think, I've got a point to prove, I'm going to show them?
Yeah.
Or is, like Sam rightly said, he looks as if he's knackered, but not physically, but mentally at the minute. And could that affect him more going into the game on Saturday, his performance, or is he going to go out there and think, I've got this stand, I need to go and show everybody?
It's a shame, really. He got in Man United's team through injuries when all the team was struggling with injuries, and he got his chance at 18 and burst on the scene, and became a regular very, very quickly. But I just see a stump in the progression of his career, that when you've had that much experience that young, that he should be so much better than he is now with that experience.
I think especially after last season, 30 goals, I'm looking at the start of the season, I'm thinking, right.
And what about his headed goals?
Yeah, I know.
I watched him in the cross coming and he's there and and I'm going, I've never seen that from Marcus Rashford before. This is magnificent, this. Like he's, all of a sudden has become this goal scorer that prolific goal scorer we've never seen before. But it obviously seems like a one-season wonder, unfortunately.
Hopefully he doesn't have a worldie. I feel
Saturday,
like he might. I feel like he might, Paul, but hopefully he doesn't. So we always ask our listeners if they'd like to send in questions for our guests. You can get, we're everywhere now. You can send us one on Instagram, on X, Twitter, comment on the YouTube channel, send them to me, send them to the channel. Lots of questions about management. Would you ever want to get back into management?
Probably not, because I wasn't very good at it. That's why I get sacked. The last job I was in.
No, there's an honest answer. A very, very honest answer there.
Look,
how did you find the pressure?
When I was doing it, Sam, I didn't realise how much it affected me, and it wasn't until I came out of it
you went
that I realised. Because I was so naive. I mean, I finished playing at 38 and took the players' manager's job at Oldham. Because I'm enthusiastic, I love football. You don't realise what a manager goes through when you're a player. And very, very quick. The first 3 months I would go home and I would just be like...
drained.
like shattered. Because there's all this stuff. You've got to manage up, you've got to manage down, you've got the media, you've got... And you don't realise until you're actually in it. But I loved my time at Oldham, 2.5 years there.
Some big wins.
Some big wins, beating Liverpool in the Cup was amazing for us. Our league form wasn't great. But we didn't have the squad or the quality. The lads I had were brilliant. They gave me absolutely everything they had. But you need a little bit of quality sometimes as well. And we were always sort of between 12th and 16th, then sort of near relegation, but just getting out of it. But I had a wonderful time. They're great people, great bunch of lads I had, great fans. And then obviously went to Doncaster. Where I
got a good Scottish manager now.
Yep.
Mickey Mellon.
That's right.
Doncaster?
Oldham.
Oldham.
Yeah. Where I had a fantastic chairman in John Ryan, who was a Doncaster man, loved the club, loved everything about it, and then there was a fallout behind the scenes and John left, and then
built a lovely stadium.
Yeah,
just right for Doncaster.
The set up, it's a crying shame that they're in League Two. They set up the training ground, the people within the club are great, but when the ownership changed or the new chairman came in, it changed very quickly. Me and Sam were speaking off air before that. I think is not just a young manager, any manager, that if you've got a stable boardroom above you that let you get on with your job, it gives you a great chance. And we're talking about Kieran McKenna at Ipswich, Dave Challoner at Stockport, the chairman, the owners, everything's set up and lets them get on with their football. But the chairman wanted to, he I think he thought he knew more than the manager. And that's been proven since, Darren Ferguson, Richie Wellens, Darren Moore, Grant McCann. I know Grant's back there now, but the first time he was there. But people say to me, I've got sour grapes about it. I loved every minute of it, and I think when you take a manager's job, the one thing you do know is that you're going to get the sack at some point. And
just how long can you fend it off while you build your reputation? Because there's very few opportunities if you lose your job in the first year or 2 seasons.
Management stayed in your blood, but for you have a nice standard of life now, Mr. Dickov.
I'm a lucky boy.
Well, if Man City look after you as well as
really
Natalie, you're all right.
Well better.
Yeah. And it was around about the time City wanted to start using ambassadors, because the club had a problem. United have got a whole list of them that have won things, but whereas City, there was that much of a barren spell that they didn't really have, and the way the club was going. And that was about 2 or 3 months after I'd been sacked at Donny, and I was desperate to go back in, but it was only because I'd been sacked, and it's your ego, Sam, isn't it? And I was so lucky that City came to me at the time and said, we want to start doing these ambassadorial trips. We're going to be going abroad. Would you like to come and do it for us?
Fantastic.
Done it. It went well, and then I was looking back. As much as I loved it, I was a completely different person in management than what you are out of it, because it takes over your life.
Yeah,
it takes
Did
over.
your family notice a difference?
Massive difference, yeah. And they were great. They didn't say a thing. There's little things like go and see my boys play football on a Saturday afternoon that I'd never been able to do. First Christmas at home, actually going on holidays in the school holidays, because it's always pre-season. And saying I was so fortunate that the work with City started coming more and more and more, that I didn't have that feeling to want to jump back in again.
And now he travels the world, Sam. He's playing it down here. He travels the world.
Nothing wrong with that.
Where have you been in the last couple of years?
We'd have China, India, Australia, Argentina a couple of months ago.
Doing what?
Indonesia. Trophy tour. I keep telling everybody I never won a trophy when I was at Man City, but I'm the one now.
What, the Premier League trophy tour?
All the trophies.
All the trophies.
City take them around the world for fans around the world to see them.
And I'm the lucky little git.
And Paul travels with them. There's a couple at you, Sean Knight, Phillips, Jolie and Lescott, but it's pretty much just the three of you that do them all.
Yeah.
Or Nedham does a few.
Nedham's done a few.
That's a nice threesome.
It is, and
right.
That's what people say to me. Do you want to go back into management? I'm like, I'm all right at the minute. Doing what I'm doing.
You as well. I mean, I can say, Sam, I've had the pleasure of working with Paul all the time, which means I have had the pleasure of hearing so many of your stories. You know everybody. This man's black book, Sam, it will rival yours. Like,
I don't know about that.
You know,
I don't know
everybody. There's so many stories you've told me that I'm thinking that I want people to know, but the one that's jumping out at me that you told me recently was the Jose Mourinho story. Could you share that? Because I feel like Sam's going to love that.
Jose.
Yeah, so it was 1989 at Largs. Did you ever go to Largs, Sam, in Scotland, Inverclyde? It was
no.
It was like Lillyshaw for England at the time, or like St George's Park.
Yeah, I think I spoke up there once.
Yeah, it was the home of the SFA. Yeah.
I think Andy Roxburgh were in charge.
Andy Roxburgh, Craig Brown used to head it up.
He was there last night, Andy Roxburgh.
Yeah.
I remember.
And all the coaches, Scottish coaches, European coaches, even from abroad, used to come and get their licenses there. And I was an under-16 schoolboy, so we used to go and clean the boots, bibs, and what sessions they were doing, we would come out and put it on. And there was 2 Portuguese guys. Some of them treated us a little bit like shit, actually. They were chucking their boots at us and just chucking things everywhere, and we would pick them up. There was 2 Portuguese guys that were lovely, and at the very end of it, one of them came up to me. I'd always wanted a pair of Copa Mundials.
Yes.
Mum and Dad couldn't afford to get me them. When he came up to me at the end, said, "You're a size 7." Gave me the pair of Copa Mundials, and I was buzzing. Fast forward 2004, 5 season. I'm at Blackburn, and it was Jose's first season as Chelsea manager.
Yeah.
And we're in the tunnel ready to go out. I think it was one of Jose's first home games. And I don't know if you remember, Jose used to walk down. That's right. Past the players and go into the dugout first.
Yeah, that's right.
And as he's walking past me, he stopped and he went, "Paul," and he's looked at me, and I was like, "I've got John Terry, I've got him back my teammates saying, how does he know him?" He went, "You don't remember, do you?" He went, "Largs 1989. And gave me a kiss on both cheeks and said, "Come and see me afterwards." And I just thought, wow, what a man to remember. Then went and see him afterwards, and when he was at Madrid and I was managing Oldham of all clubs, he would say, "I've got some Segunda B players, come out and watch us train, let us know what they're like." And yeah, but what a guy. And was always very, very supportive when I was a manager, but for him to remember this little Scottish pain in the backside, yeah, 25 years later was amazing.
Unbelievable.
Well, he did it the hard way, though, didn't he? But I don't say it the hard way. That's probably the wrong phrasing. But he did the. I'm not a footballer, man, and I'm going to educate myself as much as I possibly can by standing and watching, and then by doing a sports degree in university. And then he was fortunate enough to just stand and watch Bobby Robson at Barcelona.
Became his interpreter, didn't he?
You know what I mean? And
It
gave him an insight into when he moved to managing Portugal. I always remember him winning at Old Trafford in the European Cup semi-final, and he ran
Porto and sliding his knees down the thing.
Yeah, the fans in the corner, like, I mean, I was in the director's box watching, and I thought, and then next he's at Chelsea,
yeah.
like, I mean, and his antics are like, you know, we didn't think of the antics he thought up, like, I mean, he managed to get stuff. When he had to play when he won the league. So I listened to this off John Terry's podcast. My son sent it to me. Listen to this. Somehow he managed to get our tactics at Bolton before that game. He got them. Somebody gave them to him.
Oh my goodness!
So he knew what we were trying to do. Like, I mean, so that's good.
Love
I like that.
story.
I don't think there's any problem with that at all whatsoever.
Right, I've got some quickfire questions for you both.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one, I teed you up a little bit earlier on. Who do you think, obviously, Poch left last night. Who do you think will be the next Chelsea manager?
Sure.
I have no idea.
I would like
to
see somebody like Kieran McKenna.
Well, yes, I mean, but would Kieran, after watching what happened with the previous managers,
I suppose Potter as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Graham Potter, I spoke to him last night. He's still not got. He's had only a couple of opportunities to get back in that he didn't think were right for him. Like, I mean, but I'm sure we'll see him again soon. But it's you can't turn it down if you get offered it.
Chelsea.
Yeah, you can't. It's like whoever gets offered Liverpool can't turn it down, surely.
Mm.
The only trouble is how do you follow Kloppy?
I know. Tuchel?
It's like
Tuchel for Chelsea. Go back.
It's like who've like Moisey and everybody else that's followed Sir Alex.
Yeah.
It's almost an impossible job, isn't it?
Who's eventually going to put it behind him and make the club successful again?
Yeah.
Like when Pep leaves, who's going to replace him? They're all the biggest tasks of all for the new manager that comes in. The manager's been so successful previous to him. It's bordering on nearly impossible.
Yeah.
You know, the only way Liverpool did it was by carrying on from appointing one within.
Continuity, wasn't it?
Continuity, yeah. Nobody seems to think about that now.
Mm.
I mean, Pep's lost a lot of coaches recently, and he's still carried on, you know, so...
Coaches that have gone on to be good managers, yeah.
Yeah, eventually.
So you think Tuchel might go back? Would you? Or like...
Oh, he left under such a...
Yeah.
I mean, he talked his way out of the job last time.
But then the fans love him, don't they?
Fans
Champions
do.
League.
Bayern Munich was a disaster for him. Won nothing.
Yeah.
For the first time, in 10 years, 11 years?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're not sure on Chelsea. What about Brighton? What do we make of that?
They'll find another manager as much like the one that's just departed, and I question the fact that the chairman has had enough of him, of his arrogance, and said, right, off you go.
Okay.
So that's what you want.
He was coming out and saying some ridiculous things in his press conferences.
It's like his head had grown to. I'm too big for this football club now. Like that's the sort of body language I got. Like, I mean, and he's probably using that as an opportunity to think that he's going well. His reputation is still quite high because they had a poor season this year, and they've still got some exceptionally good players.
They've got some good players,
and he doesn't find the players. The club finds the players and find them brilliantly. They're outside of like Man City. They're the best recruitment team in this country.
Fantastic. They are. And they have done with their managers as well.
Yeah.
So I've no doubt that the way the ownership is there on the recruitment side, that they'll have somebody in mind already, and probably would have done for 6 months or so.
Where do you think De Zerbi's going to go?
I think like Sam said, I think he thinks he's going to get probably a
club,
bigger job than what he should.
Chelsea, Bayern Munich.
I thought his first season he was brilliant. I think this season he's been a little bit disrespectful to the club in some of his interviews, been a little bit petulant.
Nobody played. He tweaked the owners and Graham Potter's team into making it slightly better with the players they had, because they actually became. The one thing Graham struggled with was they created the chances but failed to score the goals. But it was always very good in terms of the football they tried to play, and always created chances to score but didn't score enough, and ultimately ended up drawing a lot that they should have won. Like you mean, and that went up a level because they got better players in the recruitment. And the level of goal scoring went up a notch, and his influence just tweaking that team was very good. But now it's like changing to go, the other way again, where it's not quite as good as what it was. So it'd be very interesting to see who gets that job. Like you mean, sadly, is it going to be another foreign coach, or will it be a British coach? There's enough young British coaches in the LMA that's shown what they can do today. Not just Kieran McKenna. I mean, a lot of them. If he got Graham from Swansea, who'd finished. Well, he didn't get Graham, did he?
They were mid-table championship, weren't they?
Yeah, Swansea. Yeah, they finished 11th, and he got the job.
Talking about the championship,
Dan Ashworth took him. That's what it was. Because Dan Ashworth had worked with him before. Danny boy. Is he going Man United or not now?
Yeah. Who wins the championship playoff final? Leeds or Southampton?
Leeds.
Yeah, I think Leeds as well.
Leeds.
Yeah.
They'll have too much.
Yeah, not just the way they won not just winning the semi-final, but the way they won their semi-final as well. They looked a very, very good attacking team, and I just think they'll have too much for Southampton.
Leeds, easy, simple.
Yeah,
there.
that was a
Leeds.
quick one, mate.
I like that. Was a quick one. We should just take a moment to say as well that Neil Lennon has got a new job.
Neil.
I've forgotten.
Romania.
In Romania. Yes, a Budapest team. We've lost track. We think that's 13. It might be 12. We need to go back through now and count up the amount of people that have been on the show and then got a job. So you don't want another job though, do you?
I'm going to start an agency for if you want a job, come and join us. We'll charge a small percentage when you get the job.
We'll have De Zerbi on it next week.
And we could boost out our podcast even farther, like you mean. So
I like it, Sam.
If you fancy a job and you're not in a job at the moment, give us a ring. You can come on my podcast and we'll try our very best to improve our record. 12 in, what's that, just over 12 months?
Pretty much, it's nearly once a month.
Once a month, yeah.
Right,
we nearly get one a month, like you mean. So if you're out there and you're desperate for a job, give us a ring.
And with that, just one question left for you, Paul. Who is your favourite ever Manchester City player?
Myself.
Yeah, you can say yourself. You can say yourself.
It changes every week. David Silva.
Oh,
what a player.
And I think I remember when
genius, wasn't he?
Yeah, I remember when he came and people were saying he can't play in the Premier League. He's too small. He's not physical enough. But yeah, what a legend! What
Did
a
you
player!
See when he got a couple of games ago when he was back?
I know. I couldn't believe that was the first time he'd been back to the club. But the ovation he got by the fans said it all.
Aguero's come back now and again as well, hasn't he?
He's not come to a game that I'm aware of, but he did a Puma event that we were there, both at. That he did, yeah.
Is he back in?
Oh no, he came back for the 93-20 event we did as well. Yeah, I don't know if he's been at a game.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but he watches the games. He releases videos of himself watching the games. Which always makes me very happy. He's my favourite, Sam. He's my favourite.
Sure he is.
Paul, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Paul.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Fitting us in your super busy week.
And keep enjoying yourself for as long as you can with this
do.
Man City success, the pair of you.
No one's more happy that City have won more trophies than Paul Dickov, who gets to now tour them around the world.
Keeps me in a job for another year,
Again.
so that'll be all right.
Yes, I will see you on Friday on the train down to London. And then Paul
to
and I are pitch side at Wembley on Saturday doing our show from there. So we're very much looking
I'm
forward
just going
that.
to be very unbiased now, and it's good luck to both Manchester City and Man United. Whoever is the best may win. So I'm just stating that now.
Sam's trying to claw back some impartiality into this podcast at the last second today. Sam, thank you so much. I'll see you next week for our last one of the season before we then go into the Euros.
I'm
we are
really
here.
pleased to be going to the Euros, aren't
Me
we?
too. We are here throughout the Euros. You'll be getting us once or twice a week throughout the Euros. So we're very excited about that. I think we've got about 10 days off. And then we are back. So thank you very much, as always, for watching No Tippy Tappy Football, brought to you by William Hill.
And keep subscribing. Thank you.